The Rings of Power, the highly anticipated fantasy series, has faced criticism and disappointment from viewers. The show has disillusioned many fans, from unlikable characters to ridiculous plot devices. Let's delve into the reasons behind the backlash and explore why The Rings of Power failed to capture the essence of Tolkien's world. But before we get into it, don't forget to be part of our community by subscribing. Not only was it snubbed during award season, it turned out that a mere 37% of people who started the show actually ended up finishing it. The majority of Rings of Power viewers quit watching the show before the finale. Casual viewers who may not be that interested in fantasy or Tolkien might be drawn in for an episode or two. But a good show, even a fantasy, will see increasing viewership over time. More people tuned in for the Game of Thrones Season 1 finale than for its premiere. That's what success looks like. But why was The Rings of Power so unbelievably bad? Let's see some of the problems. So much of the dialogue felt like something a machine would write, not quite how actual people talk. Same with Bronwyn's speech about fighting the orcs, or the things she used to say to her son before bed. In the end, this shadow is but a small and passing thing. There is light and high beauty forever beyond its reach. Find the light and the shadow will not find you. It's the kind of writing that mimics Tolkien, but it's clearly not something he would write. It is not what a character in Middle-earth would say to their small child. Unlikable characters. When it came to the show's extensive list of characters, most were unlikable, and almost all were involved in some sort of manufactured conflict with one another. Whereas The Lord of the Rings focused on friendship and camaraderie, Rings of Power set up ridiculous, endless squabbling between most of its key characters. Galadriel was always in some kind of tussle with everybody. Isildur and Elendil spent most of their time arguing. Same with Durin Jr. and Durin Sr. None of these conflicts made much sense. Why was Isildur such a disappointment to his father? Wild coincidences. The Rings of Power also relied heavily on wild coincidences to drive the story forward. Plot devices like Galadriel jumping into the middle of the ocean and then just happening to come across a raft with Halbrand. This is the kind of stuff that propelled the narrative in The Rings of Power. The fact that the Númenórean army would be able to travel several thousand miles over sea and land and find the exact location of Bronwyn's village at the exact time that Adar's army attacked. It's like something plucked from the worst seasons of Game of Thrones. Extremely dubious when held to any scrutiny whatsoever. Ridiculous plot devices. Take, for instance, the volcano going off from Mordor. This should have been a really cool moment, but it relied on a stupid Rube Goldberg machine to work. A magic key emptied a dam miles away, which then flooded a bunch of recently dug trenches and tunnels, which funneled the water into the belly of the mountain to set off the eruption. This is a fantasy where a magic key could simply set off the volcano with magic, but instead, we're supposed to believe that some ancient hidden key just turns on a machine. The Rings of Power failed on all fronts, and majority of the viewers appear to feel the same way. Amazon should cut its losses and start over with a new project. Fantasy requires a bit more magic than this. Thank you so much for watching. If you want an episode with more content like this, please consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you for being a part of our community.